you have a dream, if there's something you want to do, don't be afraid to do it. Life is really short, and when we get through it, there's nothing wrong with saying I failed at something. But if you didn't try it, you never know. Well, the family's grown up here on the shores of this bay for a lot of generations now. It's the first thing I always looked at every morning. That bay has been the one truly consistent thing every day. It's never been the same twice, but yet it's always consistently there. There always has been a relationship between myself and the land and the creatures of the ocean and of the forest. I can go out on the bay, I can harvest. There's always something there that brings me close to nature, but oysters are all about working in harmony with the bay. Well, the family had been involved in oysters right from the very beginning, so historically I had heard stories about it. Welcome to the bay here. This is McNabb's Bay, or the Malagash Basin. It's Canada's first oyster farm. It dates back to 1866 when a fellow by the name of Alexander McFarland was an international trader and a shipbuilder. And he seen something down in the U.S. He seen them selling oysters. They load the oysters into tubs, put them into the rowboats, row the boats to areas where the water was deeper, and they would spread that all over the bottom, and that was how they got their oysters to grow. I started out with a license to recreationally fish oysters. Oyster farming is like a lot of things. It can be as simple as you want to make it. You work in harmony with nature. The way our system works is a steady harvesting and taking the seed, putting it back out. It's just in harmony with the bay. All right, well, here. You want to fire her up? After I got the oysters growing here, I needed to come up with a way of harvesting a lot of them. I did a real good job of growing them, but I couldn't make money harvesting them. So I got to work looking for a method, and I found this particular design. I built this one 25 years ago. It's still growing. We never over-harvest because we need to keep that spawning mass there in the bay to maintain what the cycle is going on. I go out, pull up the harvester, we fire it up, we head up to one of the leases. We harvest until we get how much we want for that particular day. They come into the shore and they can be put off in the water and left in bags overnight, or they can be brought directly into the plant. They're taken from the tubs in the plant, dumped on the table, and they're washed, cleaned, graded. We're able to track every oyster from the time it comes off the lease straight through until when we ship it. After the stuff is fished up and it comes in, everything has to be cleaned off it. Any clusters, which we hope to avoid by bringing the stuff up and dumping it back over as many times as we fish it. Choice oyster, if you look at the length of it and you take half of that, it has to be more than half that wide. So we take this one here, go half that. Okay, that's still a choice oyster. If I had my way, I would never charge for an oyster, because in the native culture, food is something you share, and an oyster was something that was special in the culture and something to be shared at a party or a gathering or a get-together. But oysters are all about a good experience. Take an oyster out You open an oyster up, you share it with somebody. If you're lucky, maybe you have a sip of beer or a little sip of wine or something along with it. And it's an experience, and it's a sharing of something in common. It just gives you a good feeling. I've had a lot of days that weren't happy at one time, but if you decide you're going to be happy, you got a lot better chance than if you're not determined to be.